Welcome to the 3 Knockdown Rule. Starring Mario Lopez and Steve Kim. Presented by Hustler Casino.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 3 Knockdown Rule is in effect, brought to you by Hustler Casino. I'm Steve Kim, joined by my co-host Mario La Cucaracha Lopez.
What the hell kind of moniker is that?
Roach.
Ah, very good, very good, very good, very good. You caught me off guard with that one, though. Yes, and obviously more on him later. Quick shout out to Smoking Tim Frazier.
And we've got a busy show, the bout sheet for this week. Tank versus Roach, a full review. We have fight review, Ask Mario, and final flurries. We want to let you know this podcast is sponsored by Hustler Casino, open 24/7 and located just 15 minutes from downtown LA. If you love poker, then head over to Hustler Casino for the new Cash is King poker cash drawings happening every Monday. They're giving away a whopping $1,000 cash every other hour from 2 p.m. through 10 p.m. Play at Hustler Casino, located just 15 minutes from downtown LA if you want to win big.
Round 1.
All right, we go to the Barclays Center Saturday night in Brooklyn, New York, brought to you by Prime Pay-Per-View. And we have controversy, and still the WBA lightweight champion of the world, Gervonta Tank Davis, escapes with a 12-round draw over Lamont Roach. Your scores, 115-113 for Davis and 2 judges, and 114-114. Mr. Lopez, take it away.
80 slow clap for
a
Cucaracha.
Who,
by the way, I'm very, I know, you know what? Because I'm hyped.
You're hyped.
Because I'm hyped about it. And I'm disappointed in myself that I didn't get it because Freddie Roach, no relation, has mitts that say Cucaracha. And so I should have got that. Man, I am so impressed and proud of Mr. Roach. My thoughts initially going into it were probably what a lot of insiders were thinking. He's a fundamentally sound fighter, always comes prepared, only has 10 knockouts though, and he's the smaller guy moving up in weight. He maybe would make a good showing, but Tank in his power would inevitably take over in the middle rounds and maybe be too much for him to handle, possibly stop him, but he would put up a valiant effort. Boy, was I wrong. Roach came to fight, and he came to win. And win is what I think he did and very much deserved. He was not intimidated. He walked in there with some swag. He was incredibly focused. I thought his dad and him had a great game plan, and he was talking smack throughout the whole thing. Now, I know there's a bit of history, him being from D.C. and Tank being from Baltimore, so they were familiar with each other, but he's really grown and evolved as a fighter. I know, say what you will about the laws with hair. You can't. People grow, they get better. He was
6 years ago.
I know. He was on a what, 5-6 streak, win streak, and boy, was he peaking at the right time. I thought he was very calculated, measured with his punches. I had him winning. I don't know who was the guest scorer or the
Larry Hazard.
Larry. It was a hazard that you were scoring the fight the way you were, my man.
The first half, some of those rounds that he gave to Tank, I was like, come on.
Come on, buddy. The first few, I thought it was a little close, but you have to... Look, here's the thing. You have to initiate action. And I like Tank. Let me say, I like Tank. I think he's an exciting fighter, one obviously incredibly lifted and a powerful little pack of dynamite he carries in both hands. And it usually takes a while for him to get going. But sometimes, Kim, and it bothers me, he's a little too calculated. He's a little too selective with his punches. There's not enough activity. And meanwhile, you're piling up rounds and stealing rounds. And that's exactly what I think Roach did. I thought he was smart in there. I thought he used his jab effectively. He started a counter punch. He didn't get overwhelmed on the inside. He was putting together nice combinations. He started to go to the body. And of course, the inevitable, infamous 9th round that everyone wants to talk about. In what world does a fighter take a knee? I don't care what the reason is. I don't care if you have grease in your braids, you got a cramp, you just realize you got to drop a bomb. Whatever the reason is, if you take a knee voluntarily, that's a knockdown. Otherwise, Kim, everyone would take a knee for whatever the case may be. Am I right? Everyone would take the knee. And the irony is, he takes the knee. Willis, who had a very bad night at the office, starts to make the count. He starts to make the count and then stops himself. I'm like, what the hell is going on? To add further insult, you had Tank's cornerman get up on the apron, which by the way, the rules are that's an automatic disqualification. And then they allowed him to wipe the so-called grease. Be that as it may, it was a jab that landed, maybe it flicked and the hair came. It doesn't matter. You choose to take a knee, that is your right to do so, but you're going to get a 10-8 round. That is a knockdown round. For example, when Floyd Mayweather fought Hernandez back in the day, and I think he hurt his hand, may have even broke it, he voluntarily went down. The ref, automatically started doing the 8 count, rightfully so. Floyd didn't complain. Floyd knew that was the case, proceeds to go on and win the fight. When things like this happen, it looks downright shady. I'm sorry, but it does. And at the end of the day, what was a very close fight, and actually with this non-call, I still had Roach winning, believe it or not, because I didn't have Tank winning more than 6 rounds. I'm sorry, I just didn't. I had it 7 rounds to 5, Roach. But even, let's say they were even 6-6, that should have been a knockdown, and Roach should have had the victory. So, very proud of Roach, and I'm very frustrated at the evening, and I think it puts a major dent in the aura of Tank Davis. But we got a new player in town.
Round 9. Whether it's fair or not, Steve, what you talking about, Willis, now wears the scarlet letter. The way Richard Steele, whether it was fair or not, was treated after Taylor Chavez.
Unfair comparison. BS.
Will now apply to Willis. And also, this is the most talked about timeout since Chris Webber in the 1993 Final Four.
There are no timeouts in boxing.
I know.
There are timeouts in basketball. There are no timeouts in boxing, Kim. That's where you're wrong.
In addition to what you talked about, my only concern with Lamont was not his talent or his skills. It was punching power. Just 10 stoppages and 27 fights coming in.
He looked pretty stout in there.
But something happened. I actually think moving up in weight made him physically stronger.
He did. He looked stronger in there. I'm like,
bigger.
He actually looked bigger.
Yes,
am I crazy, or does he look bigger than Tank?
His shoulders and
his
back.
I thought he looked pretty. Yes, exactly.
And from the opening bell, he took control of the center of the ring, edging forward. And that's why when these judges gave 3 of the first 4 rounds to Tank, I said that's A-side privilege. Now, coming into round 7, I said, here comes Tank. It's going to happen now.
Right.
Tiananmen Square.
Actually 6.
He's going to run him over. I would have given you 1,000 to 1 odds if you would have said, Steve, at the end of the night, it's going to be Lamont Roach who's going to be every bit the power punching guy. And you knew he was in the groove when he started to go with the high guard and stuck his head inside the pile. And he said, you know what, Tank, go ahead. Go ahead and lead, and I will catch and counter. And look, he may not be Julian Jackson, but he's one of those sharp, accurate, fast punchers that when he hits you, you feel it.
I didn't see him take any steps backwards. I saw him be the aggressor the majority of the fight. I saw him hurt Tank a couple times, gave him a couple, buzzed him a couple times, catch him with clean counters. And again, I thought Tank was a little too inactive to win a lot of those rounds. I'm sorry. He had some moments, but not enough to win the majority of the rounds. And again, going back to the 9th round, I think enough can't be said that it was such a mismanaged round by the ref that it makes it look like corruption.
Well,
it really does.
To go even further, the New York State Athletic Commission is now releasing a statement to various reporters who have inquired. They're going to be doing some due diligence because I talked to someone that spoke to the head guy. They know that they are now under the microscope. Also, in terms of the instant replay, they quote unquote had a malfunction and they couldn't review it on time. It's funny. Can we be honest about this? If the roles were reversed,
absolutely not,
and it was Roach who took the knee and then peeked out of the corner and then got assistance, would he have gotten that same treatment?
Absolutely not. And there were also some people, and I just want to point this out really quick, on social media saying, well, they both took a knee. No,
one
they
was
did not.
Down.
One was forced down, which happens all the time in a clinch, and one did not start going back to his corner to get help. So those people, I'm sorry, you don't know what you're talking about, and they did not take a knee. One was forced down exactly like you said, and it happens many times all
and you know what that's called? A foul. Okay,
correct.
Let's get that out of the way.
You're exactly
Also,
right.
taking a look at the scoring, two judges had it 39-37 Davis after the first 4 rounds. I'll just say I vehemently disagree with that. The last 4, I thought 9, 10, 11, 12, that Gervonta Davis is hard-pressed to win more than 1. 2 of the judges, I think, gave him 2. I mean, so he's getting every benefit of the doubt, and it turned out going into the 12th and final inning, Lamont Roach needed to win that round to salvage a draw. So could it be safe to say that based on the circumstances, the way it was officiated, the way it was refereed, that a draw is in essence, I know it's not the same, a victory for Lamont Roach?
It's a victory in the sense that he's to be taken serious. He's arrived on the scene. People are now wanting to see the rematch, and he's a real player in this game and respected. So, yes, in that sense. And, again, I think the aura of Tank Davis took a hit.
The cloak of invincibility, especially in regards to his power, because he did act like a guy who felt somewhere along the way, I'm going to smack him, he's going to lay down and play dead.
Yeah, but
Never happened.
You know what, though,
Never
Kim?
happened.
He was going, he was retreating too much. He was never on his front foot and coming forward. I was very surprised to see that. I know he does that usually in the early rounds, but in the middle rounds, he didn't. It wasn't like he pivoted and started to change his tactics.
There's this one highlight where he lands a really good straight left, but Lamont actually rides it out and he swings right back with his own pull counter right hand, and it like shakes
I know.
Tank back. There's a reason why certain guys have been avoided. We have to be honest about Tank. As good as he is, exciting as he is, and as popular as he is, the matchmaking has been, let's say, very, very favorable and adroit. And I want to say this about Lamont Roach, a young man that I've covered for the bulk of his career. People forget he was actually at Golden Boy. Yeah. So I got to see him a lot, got to know him well. I think I told this story last year. Where I'm at a fight where Lomachenko, The Nail, and Usyk headlined a triple header, all Ukraine, in Maryland. He was there, and I'm at dinner with some people. Came up and introduced me. Hey, I'm Lamont Roach, and so we developed a very good relationship. I don't think it was that day, but another time I spoke to him, and I said the most honest thing I ever said to a fighter. I said, Lamont, I'm just gonna tell you this right now. You have all the tools. Technique is not your problem, but I said I'm gonna tell you this right now, and I don't want you to take it the wrong way. This ain't the Bible. The meek do not inherit the earth here. You got to be a little bit more of a mother. And he said, really? I go, you got to get a little bit meaner. Go back to his summer fight last year in D.C. against Fergal McCrory, which was on Pro Box. He punched with some real purpose and intent. And there's no doubt about it. He now has a different mindset. He's mean.
He looked it.
He's mean.
And listen, to be mean against a guy that can punch like Tank, that says something. I think his confidence will be at an all-time high, assuming the rematch, which seems inevitable.
Who do you favor
happens.
If they fought in 4 months?
In a neutral location, I think I favor Roach.
But would the location matter? The politics is all for Tank. He is still the A side. He is still the draw.
I think, correct. However, because of the controversy and the cloud that hovers over this, I don't think he can get away with any more shenanigans like he pulled in the 9th. And I think he will get the benefit of the doubt perhaps in these close rounds, because if he gets another controversial win, then I think it does more harm than good. Don't you feel?
I do. if you look at the way the second fight might play out, you can make an argument that Tank will be more focused, he'll be more serious. I get that.
Wait, was there reports that he wasn't
I
disciplined
know, but
and focused?
that's the alibi. Anytime a favorite who's like 15 to 20 to 1.
20 to 1. By the way, yeah, that's right. 20 to 1, it was the closing
But at the same time,
odds.
The way I look at it, if you fight once a year, you're going to be focused. What are you overlooking? That's the one time you make money.
Mm-hmm.
My God. Lamont Roach actually has to be careful not to be too confident. He still has to box his way into punching.
Oh, I think he felt his power.
Yeah.
So he's a smart fighter. He came across as a very smart fighter. He was selective, but not too selective. And he was busy when, as a matter, I think he lets his hands go a little bit. I don't think he feels that, look, obviously, the accumulation of those punches could knock anyone out in that weight class, but I don't think he's going to fight. Yeah. He's going to be apprehensive. I do think we'll see a more confident and equally prepared Roach.
You know, you talk about the Beltway rivalry and two guys being very familiar with each other. When I spoke to him last about 4 months ago, when this was first being rumored, he actually said, Steve, I'm just telling you, I know Tank very well. He goes, there's a lot of guys that are intimidated by the power because I know what I'm getting into. And I'm going to make this statement right now. I know he's the WBA 130-pound champion. He ought to ditch that thing. I think the real money and the big fights are at 35, and he looks like he's grown into that weight. I think taking the weight cut at 130 probably leaves him a little bit decimated physically. I was very impressed by how stout he was.
So was I.
All throughout those 36 minutes. So there is winning in drawing when it comes to Lamont Roach, and I would hope that there's a rematch down the line. Taking a look at this undercard from the Barclays Center, Gary Antoine Russell captures the WBA junior welterweight title, blanking Jose Rayo Valenzuela over 12 rounds.
That was impressive.
Dominant performance.
Dominant. By the way, because I had to call you to make sure. So Gary Antoine Russell is not Gary Russell.
That's his brother.
But that's his brother. I'm like, both brothers are named Gary Russell?
Yeah.
I go, that's wild. That's some George Foreman shit right there.
Right.
That is wild. Dare I say this Russell is just as talented, if not more, than the other Russell? Or he looked at that night.
Yeah, unfortunately, he needs to be a little bit more active than the other Gary Russell.
But both these brothers, I mean, this is some Marquez talent level as far as brothers right there.
That version that I saw, I believe, would beat Alberto Puello in a rematch, and dare I say, might be the most dangerous, difficult guy at what is a pretty loaded 140. And speaking of Albert Puello, he escaped with his WBC junior welterweight title over Sandor Hardluck Martin, 115-113, twice in each direction, and then somehow 116-112 for Puello. I thought Martin may have edged it out. The guy can't catch a break. And then junior middleweight prospect Yoenis Tellez with a 10-round decision, pounding out a 10-round win over Julian Williams. Actually, that was a 12-rounder. All right, when we come back, we return with more of the 3 Knockdown Rule brought to you by Hustler Casino.
Catch it streaming live right on YouTube.
Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
$1.2 million.
And I'm losing in this fucking game. What the fuck?
There's a 400K flip. If I win by the way, you get 10 grand.
Fucking straddle!
For my fans!
Why? I read it twice!
Wow. All in a call.
I'm not fucking leaving!
Raise it up.
And we're back on the 3 Knockdown Rule brought to you by Hustler Casino. Ladies and gentlemen, are you looking to get involved with 3 Knockdown Rule and sponsor our show? We have some spots available. Please email info@boxbid.io. Once again, that's info@boxbid.io. Boxbid is an online platform that helps professional boxers connect with their fans by providing exclusive Fight Week merchandise, memorabilia, and sponsorships. You can even buy a shout-out on boxbid.io. Boxbid.io handles our sponsorships, and we are proudly working with boxbid.io.
Review preview.
All right, not much else went on in boxing, but in Puerto Rico on the zone in an IBF 140-pound eliminator, Subriel Matias wears down the game Gabriel Goyaz in 8 rounds. He becomes now the mandatory for Richardson Hitchens. Just eyeballing this fight, Matias does not look like the same whirlwind he was 2 years ago. I get the sense when and if they fight, Richardson Hitchens will outbox Matias pretty easily, but as Larry Merchant once said,
that's why they fight the fights.
That's why you fight the fights.
Do you feel that he just got to a certain level in the sport, caliber of fighter, I should say, and he's just not there yet, or he's peaked, because what was so impressive was his physical prowess.
I think it's that style. I don't think it's fuel efficient. There is a theory that guys like Joe Frazier, Juan Baby Bull Diaz, they're such a high-octane style, they're not meant for the long haul. They're sprinters, that they burn out quickly, and that's kind of the way Matias looks to me.
Well, but Frazier, ironically, look, he fought in a 15-round era. He used
did.
to keep it up the whole time.
But keep this in mind, after the first Ali fight, he didn't have that many wins. I mean, still a Hall of Famer, still a great fight. Even Juan Diaz, when that decline comes, it comes very, very quickly. Moving on to the Ask Mario portion of the 3 Knockdown Rule. Here's one from Soccer Never Sleeps. As a New Yorker, I'm used to getting 1 or 2 big fights a year to attend, but it's been light recently. After this Tank fight, I don't see much in the future. Do you see New York City as a site lessening during this era of Riyadh season? Well, Mario.
Well, we're going to have the big fight coming up on Cinco de Mayo weekend.
Friday.
Which is on a Friday. In the middle of Times Square. I think that's exciting. That's
I mean,
exciting.
look, it's a loaded fight card.
It's a great fight card.
I mean, everyone, look, we kind of know, look, the best fight is Teofimo against Arnold Barboza.
Yes, I agree.
Then you have the grudge match between Rolly Romero and the return of Ryan Garcia. And then you also have Devin Haney against the faded version of Jose Ramirez. So there are some big names, and I believe it's going to be in Times Square. I don't know how they handle tickets or the attendance. Here's the issue with New York and buildings like the Barclays Center, and I know this with Madison Square Garden, the Union, makes it costly. It is absolutely
more expensive in
prohibitive. Also, I've been told in L.A., I asked one of who was it? It was Eric Gomez of Golden Boy. I asked him about a certain fight card, and I said, well, why don't you go back to the War Grounds in Carson? I mean, we have not had a fight card there in at least 2 years, right?
Unfortunately.
And you know what he said? Union. That's gotten very, very, or more expensive than it did years ago.
Well, we just had the fight this past weekend in Barclays, though, too. So there is.
But
still
again,
a
there's
presence in
but
New York.
you know Tank's going to bring in at least 17,000. See, a guy like Tank you could take anywhere because you know there's a return on your investment. But as I wrote last week, Tank is the rarity. He can sell on the East Coast, West Coast, and a lot of other places in between.
I think
most fighters can't.
I think this Times Square card will do well, though. I think Ryan pulls a lot, and I think the rest of the card, I think it's going to do well.
Well, especially if they let people in for free. Because I think they're really trying to tie this in with Fatal Fury, opening of some sort of video game.
That'd be great then, and make it a big event.
And by the way, that Cinco de Mayo weekend, it looks like we're going to have back-to-back days of boxing. There's that card. There's Saudi Arabia with Canelo. And there are rumors, reports are out there with Chavo Rodriguez. Bonsai, in a way, could be fighting on Sunday in Las Vegas. More details to come. Sunday.
Okay.
Right. Here's one from Ryan Longer. A little bit of a change up here. What is your favorite fast food restaurant? Mine would be Wendy's.
That is random.
Yeah.
Yours is Wendy's, Kim?
No, his is Wendy's.
His is Wendy's.
Never been to a Wendy's, by the way.
Obscure. Really?
I've never actually been to a Wendy's.
I'll be honest with you. I want to know why Wendy's is his favorite. That's interesting. It's been years since I've been to Wendy's. First one that came to mind for me that I frequent the most right now, Chick-fil-A. Love me some
they're
Chick-fil-A.
building a new one near my house. I just saw it.
Oh, that's the best. They used to have coleslaw, and you put the coleslaw in
They
the
don't do that
chicken
anymore?
sandwich. They don't have it. They got rid of it. It's the worst. It's the worst. They give you a recipe to make it at home. Like, what?
Boo.
But you get the coleslaw, you put it in the chicken. That's the best. That's the place. I'll probably have to go. However, random, but we went to Jack in the Box the other night when we were coming back from the comedy show. Jack in the Box still pretty damn solid with their super tacos and cheeseburgers. What about you?
Only fast food place that I go to more than once a year, and one of the reasons why I don't mind driving to Vegas. You take the
Del
15.
Taco?
No, the original
The
Del
one in Barstow.
That's the only one, though. Remember, that is the Mecca. That's where it all began. It's
Yeah, I
actually,
know.
and the quality of food is higher. I don't go to other Del
That's
Tacos.
why your stomach's always tore up and you're blowing it up in here.
Oh, wait a minute.
Because of Del Taco.
Pot, meat, kettle.
Right there. No, don't go to Chick-fil-A.
And I've had people that have doubted me. And then middle of the day, I'll get a text, Steve, I'm at this Barstow Del Taco. You were right. I'm always right.
Oh,
I'm just
come on.
And the California tacos with the macho nachos. Oh, wow. It's just unbelievable.
Dude, and you live in Montebello. That's embarrassing.
Here's one from Georgia Northside at Georgia's BBQ. Good friend of mine. Do you think the widespread opinion that Roach won on Saturday will encourage Tank to take on more challenges, or are we starting an upcoming sell job on some other believed by them to be a no-hoper? I think pride might get us a better fight or two.
I don't know if Tank will want to take on more challenges, but I think more people want to challenge Tank now. I think Shakur is probably chomping at the bit, and I think he would probably be favored if you were to make that matchup. I would favor him. Would you?
There's no doubt about it. By the way, coming into this bout, Shakur Stevenson, who had used Lamont as a sparring partner for the Valdez fight, he went on the record and said flat out that's a 50-50 fight. He knew what Lamont Roach is all about. Here's the issue, and I don't know what the pay-per-view did, but they literally did the largest attendance at the Barclay for a guy who coming into Saturday, nobody really knew or cared about. It was a 20-1 fight, and this guy literally sold out and probably produced the largest gate. From a live gate perspective, Tank is good, but how do you really make the money in modern-day boxing? It's pay-per-view. That's where you need that dance partner. It's not like a concert where you could just put on Janet or whoever. You actually need somebody on that B side that could sell on their own regard.
Janet was the most recent artist he could think of, by the way. Janet Jackson right there. You went back to the 90s.
Yeah, well, 90s. All right. Donna Summer. Okay, anyway. Here's Juan Valverde. Says, based on his activity and willingness to fight the best or lack of and latest performance, can Gervonta at age 30 still become the legend he thinks he already is?
Look, as exciting and talented as Gervonta is, unfortunately, I think he's left a lot
of meat on the bone.
A lot of meat on the bone, a lot on the table, because he hasn't fought the best of his weight class. When you look at someone like Crawford, cleared out divisions, fought the best that the weight class had to offer. You can't say that about Tank.
Certainly Canelo. Long resume.
Obviously, yes. But you can't. They've done a good job for making them marketable. But when you pull back and really look at the individuals and the numbers and stuff, it's. I'm not saying it's a lot of hype and a lot of sizzle, no steak. That's not necessarily the case. But I think he is who he is.
Oh, I think you could say there was a lot of sizzle. It was the steak that was very lean.
It was lean, but I think when you look, he is who he is at this point. And I think he still has a chance to make, and he still could be very much in these fights and win a lot of these fights. But he's got to start taking them now at his physical prime.
If you look at his actual resume compared to some of the other quote-unquote elite fighters in those pound-for-pound lists, it's thinner than olive oil going bulimic. It's thin.
Look, you know me, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but do you think any of that has to do with why he's been reluctant to want to embrace his excellency in Turkey to maybe make those potential matches because he knows those will be real fights?
There is a theory that says yes. Okay, and the other thing is a lot of people had, like even Ring Magazine, and again, I want to make this clear, Doug Fisher does not do the ratings. He's part of the ratings panel, okay? They have a point system. I said very clearly that Gervonta Davis, in terms of being a draw, top-notch. In terms of being exciting, top-notch. Never made my top 10 pound for pound. I think he was more 10 to 15 to 20-ish. Okay? And I think this past weekend, two things happened here. Even though it's a draw, Lamont Roach stock rose. Tank Davis has dropped.
Correct.
And I thought it was very strange that on Saturday night at the press conference, Tank said, well, yeah, I mean, we could do a rematch. It doesn't have to be next. I'm like, what? And then on Monday, though, him and Lamont are going back and forth saying, well, we could do this. And this is what Tank said, as early as late May. I believe there has to be a mandate from the public. You better clear that issue up with Lamont Roach.
Yes.
That's just my opinion. Here's one from Sherm. Any idea of where Top Rank is going to land after the ESPN deal ends later this year, really this summer? Mario, I don't know where. We've all heard the same rumors, but that lawsuit by Billy Keane does not help their cause. That's the last thing you need going into a period of time.
What is Billy Keane suing?
Well, Billy Keane's saying you owe me $25 million because I brought certain fighters to the table. There was a fee. My view is this. That's a $25 million lawsuit, but the publicity they're getting for it is priceless. To me, if you make a deal, even if it's a bad deal, I think you have to live up to it or something like this might happen. I'm not taking sides in it. I don't really know the details. I don't really care. I'm just here for the fight. But that's a precarious situation that if you know your current television deal is ending in July and you're selling your services, the last thing you need are headlines such as that. Oh my God, this is such an important question. Maybe the most important question we've ever had on this fine segment.
We already talked about fast food.
It's Gabe with an exclamation mark. We must get to the quote-unquote bottom of this. Why mint scent on your butt wipes, Mario? That's a very good question. Why?
Come on, Gabe, you know.
Toss salad.
You know.
Keep it fresh.
Focus test it. You need a clean smell. And what's cleaner than mint?
Mint.
Right? Can you think of something cleaner than mint?
I really can't.
And it's still kind of masculine. You want a fruity one.
Right.
You want something clean. You want something relatively masculine. You got to go with mint. And it goes with the packaging. Remember, it looks like
it does.
Like a chocolate mint that you put on the pillow of a hotel room.
Gabe, there you have it. Here's one from Ring Magazine's Anson Wainwright. Hey guys, what are your thoughts on Tank Roach? I was very disappointed in Tank, but did I underestimate Roach? It looked like something up with Tank, no intensity, maybe outside the ring issues, which is nothing new. Was it inactivity? Mario, when a fighter talks about, well, I'm going to retire soon, that's not a great thing, is it? Leading right into a fight?
No, and he's been doing that for like a while, and I don't know, maybe this awakens him. Maybe he gets a little fire in his belly now. Okay. Maybe he's not going to like all the people on social media and most of the pundits saying
he's a meme now. Did you see the Gervonta dance? People just taking knees in the middle, like pumping their gas.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I think that might get to him. He seems to me like a proud guy. I think that might get to him. And that can work one or two ways. I can put a fire in your belly and you can refocus and come back, or it can mess with you more and you can implode. So we'll see what his character is made of.
On Wednesday at the PBC Open workout, they streamed it. I think they were at Gleason's gym, and he said, this year I think I might fight 3 times. It'd be good for him. I'm like, wow, 3 times for Tank would be great for boxing. It'd be great for him, keep him sharp. Boxing needs its stars to go out there and perform just 1 or 2 times more. Come Thursday, he's on with Stephen A. Smith. It's like, well, I don't know how much time I got left, man. I'm going to retire. I'm like, what? Which is literally in 24 hours, he went from, I'm going to be as active as I have been. By the way, I looked it up. He has not fought more than twice in a year since like 2019.
That's sad.
In fact, he's had more years where he's fought once more than he's fought twice. So, and now we're into March. I don't think there's any doubt. I think he has to do the Roach rematch. And he talked about, I might do another fight with some guy that visited my locker room. And I kept thinking, did Jake Paul, because I know he was there, did Paul visit your locker room? Now, you want to talk about
like
something that'll
difference.
Do you think they care?
I mean, come on, man.
That to me, that would be worse than losing if if Tank even entertained such a thought. Here's one from Hamed as we wrap it up here. After how Gervonta Davis looked against Lamont Roach, if Gervonta or David Benavidez don't fight the best available guy next in their division, is it safe to say the PBC are protecting their 2 main stars?
Benavidez hasn't shown us or given us any reason to see for him to not want to face top competition. On the contrary, he faced a very dangerous Morrell. He wants to face the winner.
Caleb Plant.
He faced Caleb Plant, yeah, and he's verbally calling out the winner of Beterbiev and Bivol, which was Bivol, of course, and he's been calling out Canelo. So Benavidez hasn't shown us that in his history. Tank has been pretty selective. And it's disappointing because there's so many great potential matchups that can be made.
Well, look, people are calling the Lamont Roach fight a cherry pick gone wrong. Whether you think that's fair or not, I'm just stating the fact. That's what a lot of people were calling it. Here's the interesting thing. The WBC finally did something on behalf of Benavidez that they wouldn't do when he was at 68. You know what that is? Call him mandatory.
Made him a mandatory.
Okay, so now you're thinking, great. Everything is paid. But David's now making comments like, well, we got to work together, and then I don't want to go over there. They have to be in Vegas. I'm like, oh, no.
No. Come on. Don't start now.
Don't do
start
this.
now. You're doing good.
And by the way, Peter Berg, either he's hallucinating or he's just making stuff up. He goes on Joe Rogan. There's a clip that went viral. Yeah. He said the hardest single punch I saw was a jab from Bivol of all people.
Come on.
Okay, so wow. Okay. 24.
He said he dropped Benavidez with a jab, right?
Well, Benavidez has feet that are close together,
Yeah,
but doesn't
but-
mean he hurt him, though.
Right, and it could have been a little bit off balance.
Right.
But really, the hardest punch you've ever seen is a jab?
Right, from B-Vol. Right. Not Sonny Liston, not George Foreman. B-Vol. But we love B-Vol. Now, but then he comes out later. Hey, guys, hey, I want to clarify something. What's that? I got it wrong. It was actually Benavidez that... And I'm thinking, Peter.
So Peter didn't...
Peter.
He was giving... The people were giving him grief?
In boxing... There's only two guys in a ring theoretically when they spar, right? Because they don't even put in a referee.
Was the Asian guy or the Mexican guy?
Right, and one guy is certainly a crouching tiger. My guy, my fourth cousin, B-Vol. And then you had your third cousin, Benavidez. Really? Like, Peter, like, what's the story this week?
It wasn't like Golovkin and B-Ball.
Right. Or Israel Madrimov, who kind of looks like both of them. I'm like, how do you faux pas to that level? I'm just wondering, did he get a phone call? Do you have to expunge that?
Joe, I think, makes you smoke weed and stuff when you get in there, so he might have been a little off.
But look, I make a lot of verbal typos, and we immediately he went on to that story for like 10 minutes, so it never dawned upon him, oh, you know what? Hey, I got the wrong guy.
So what, did he post about?
Well, no, he put up a video in his car saying, I want to correct this.
My God.
And I'm thinking, oh, God, okay, Peter.
Final flurries.
Moving on to final flurries. What was your Sunday? Let's go Saturday. What was it like at the racetrack?
You missed an awesome time.
I did. I had a great time at Coach JB's.
Way to mix it up. I invite this guy to Santa Anita Park, the racetrack there. It's probably one of the nicest tracks in the country, with my boy Bob Baffert.
Heavy hitter there. Heavy hitter.
Dude, and it was packed, and it was so much fun, and it was a prelude. They're sort of like the qualifying rounds, if you will, to make it to the Derby, because they have like the majors, right? Belmont Stakes.
The Preakness. And the Kentucky Derby.
Exactly.
That's the big one.
Yes. So this was kind of leading up to that. And it was packed. It was fun. The drinks are flowing. Dude, you can gamble like 50 cents. It's awesome. A lot of nice eye visuals.
Candy.
There.
A lot of fillies.
Yeah, a lot of fillies. A lot of fillies. A lot of mares. A lot of fillies. And it was a really good time. My guy, Bob, came in second that day with his horse in the main race. He had other races and stuff. His horse, Barnes, so he's got two horses right now. One he got for like 3.5. Let me tell you a quick story before I get... Well, let me finish this story because my ADD's kicking in. This one was like 3.5 million. There was Barnes and then Rodriguez, which is like a 1.8 or whatever. All these horses are all worth millions of dollars. And this skinny horse, who's fast, journalism from this other trainer, ended up beating him, right? His horse was leading the whole way. Come to find out, his horse's shoe, the horseshoe, came off out the gate.
What?
So you lose, you know what I mean? Something like that. It got caught on the gate as it goes. So stuff like that can happen. You know what? You just don't know.
That had to be one of LeVar Ball's shoes.
So it came off, and so, you know, that obviously was a factor. We don't know what, but that was definitely a factor. Some of these things happen. And it's interesting because when you talk to them, the psychology of the horses, some horses don't like crowds. Some horses start really to hit their stride once they feel the pressure of another horse. Some horse has to have a house horse in front of them to get it. Some horse like to take the lead. It's like all kinds of...
And the jockey has to know.
The jockey has to know the turf. There's so much strategy that goes into it. So just talking and learning about it's fascinating. And the characters there, man. The degenerates that are there. You see all of society.
The smushes.
From the mushes.
The
see all of the society from the mushes, the degenerates, to the affluents. Yeah, exactly. And to all the sweets and all that. So it was great. So it's a good time. If people haven't been, it's a really good time. There was a time when the two biggest sports in America were horse racing and boxing.
Right.
Yeah. So I still like both of those. So that was a lot of fun on Saturday. And then I came home and I had to finish watching the movies to be prepared for the red carpet at the Oscars, the Academy Awards, on Sunday. After I saw two of the movies, that's when I saw The Fight late at night. Then I was all hyped and couldn't go to bed.
Yeah.
So come to the Oscars, it's supposed to rain. Didn't rain, right? Usually I dread these kind of things. But this one was okay. It was starting a little earlier. We're going to get done an hour earlier. I said I wasn't bad. And you've already talked to all these people. You've asked them all the questions from awards season. Yeah. This is the culmination, right? But I like to see, you know, friends like Halle Berry and all this, you know what I mean, kind of coming in. Speaking of which, I'm talking to Adrian Brody, who'd already won Best Actor. They had that infamous kiss.
Right.
22 years ago, but remember he won and kissed her?
Time flies.
Exactly.
Jeez.
So I'm talking to him, and Halle, who's not talking to anybody, but she's always so sweet to me, is walking by. I said, Halle, come here. She comes over. He's right in front of my camera.
Wait,
so
you
Access
made that
Hollywood.
happen?
I made that happy. And then she goes, I'm sorry, Georgina, to his girl.
Yeah.
And plants one right on Adrian Brody. She goes, I had to do that to get back. And so this iconic moment that happened 22 years ago was relived. And
wow.
Yeah, and I made that happen. And it went viral, and it was everywhere.
I even saw that.
Yeah, exactly. It was viral everywhere. And the best thing was, he won again. Wow. He won again. So the whole thing was sort of surreal. My boy Kieran Culkin, who swept award season, started off doing a tequila shots with him at the Golden Globes, and he gave me a shout out. I said, we got to do another one for good luck. You're going to win. Dude won again. We did more tequila shots, and he won again. So it was cool to see these people kind of, and both movies were a lot of fun too. But the two movies, dude, that you kind of see just because they're wild, and it's better I don't tell you anything about them, and we can discuss them afterwards. Just watch two for me. The Substance with Demi Moore and Honora.
Okay, so
Honora, which one Best Picture?
Yeah,
okay?
Honora, Jason Whitlock did a 45-minute monologue
I know,
on
but here's the thing.
I don't think he felt the same way you did about it.
Let me. Here's the thing. He's taking it too serious. You have to remove yourself and just look at it as a form of entertainment. Dude, it's really well done. And what I love about it, too, aside from the great performances and it's a fun story and it actually turns out to be funny, is that it was only made for $6 million, which is... Dude, Wicked was $145 million. So this was only $6 million, and the director swept the awards. The movie won Best Picture. That's kind of cool. Like, talk about the underdog. You know what I mean? It's sort of Rocky-esque right there. Trust me, you'll like it. Watch The Substance and Honora, then we'll come back. Those are the only two. You don't have to watch any other ones. The other ones, but they're pretty good.
But look
people
at you.
Like them.
You're the Chuck Woolery of the red carpet, matching people together, doing what,
Dude,
making love
making
connections.
Moments.
That's what you
making
do.
Moments,
that's what you get the big bucks.
That's what, yeah. So the horse racing, Academy Awards, the fights. That's what my skin. And I did 6 shots on the red carpet.
Wow.
With 6 shots, and I still was fine.
Saturday, I want to give a shout out to Coach JB. Went to his house up there. He cooked a variety of tacos.
He always
shrimp.
He always
the
likes to cook
steak.
it up.
Oh, the Wagyu steak. Woo! Wow.
He don't need that for you. Don't you know you like Del Taco?
All right, no, stop the Asian hate. But great tacos. Had a great time watching the fights. But sad news. Not sad. An end of an era. The great James William Jimmy Johnson, the 4-star general of the gridiron, looks like his football journey has come to an end, announcing his retirement from Fox after 31 years. All I could say
Did
is...
he broadcast that long, bro?
Yes, because his first year was in 94 after he left the Cowboys.
That's right.
Took some years off because he did the 4-year stint with the Dolphins,
yes.
and he's been a concurrent since. All I could say to Jimmy is, how about that, Jimmy? Wow, I'm going to miss him. Miss him.
I can't believe he's 82 years old.
Looks good, doesn't he?
He looks amazing. In
the hair.
Mount Rushmore of wigs.
There's no doubt about it.
Mount Rushmore of
Still
wigs.
hasn't moved.
Has not moved, hasn't lost a follicle.
No, he really hasn't.
He's been calling games literally 75% of my life.
Dude, dang. Don't act all young over there, Frazier. Don't be trying to act all young.
The run that he had from the mid-'80s.
How was he as a broadcaster? We know his success as a coach. Did you like him as a broadcaster?
5 Emmys.
Yeah.
He won Emmys. Now, look, here's the problem with the Fox NFL show. And I said this on the Fearless a couple of weeks ago. They have so many people, it looks like the Last Supper.
Yeah, they do. They do.
You don't need
They
8
do.
guys.
Why do they have so many?
And I'm like, just because remember, originally it was 4.
Why so many?
Well, because you have former athletes, and if you don't hire them, you'll lose them. See, I actually think in shows like that, less is more.
Absolutely.
I really do. Especially when you have
Absolutely.
Jimmy. Okay.
And then you have pre-shows. You spread the love.
Right. You know, you
spread
had
the love.
Howie Long.
Yeah.
Now you got Julian Edelman. Then you added Strahan. And Kurt Menefee does a great job. And then Terry Bradshaw. And so the thing with Jimmy was, I've always said this, his run from about 85 to 93, it's the greatest concurrent run of any coach from college to the National Football League. Because a lot of coaches can do one or the other, but they fail at the next level or the other level. This guy went from building Miami into an absolute monster. And he would have won 5 more if he stays like 8-9 years. He would have been on a run. Didn't like the school president. He was a bit of a nomad. He goes to Dallas. Michael Irvin, the one time I interviewed him, said, you know what, I have one regret in life. And he goes, if Jimmy Johnson does not leave, I should have 4 more rings. He actually left rings on the table, but the type of person he is, he doesn't care. He's built for short bursts as a coach. It's the greatest run I've ever seen. And that era of coaches like Parcells and him, I don't know if you can coach like that anymore.
Well, let's hope Harbaugh's the second time.
Harbaugh's kind of like that.
That's why.
He's a quirky guy. Drinks milk with the steak and all that other stuff.
Yeah. And he won college national championship. Let's see if he can pick up where Jimmy left off.
You going anywhere this weekend? Busy schedule you always have?
I am. I'm going to Vegas. I just realized UFC fight.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to see our boy Alex Pereira. I feel like he's fighting just about every other week, right? He's
Look
going
at
to be
that
fine.
activity.
He's exactly, and he's got his probably toughest opponent yet, Ankalaev, this wrestler from Dagestan.
From
So
Dagestan.
we've
Tough
got
guys.
this striker with this grappler. That ought to be a great fight. So yeah, Mrs. Lopez and I are going up there, going to see the fights. I'm going to try to ask Dana about, well, okay, what's up with boxing, dude? Are you doing this or not?
Well, bring him in.
We'd
like to have him in
He
studio.
does not like coming to L.A. He hates coming to
Okay,
L.A. That's why
there's
he
a
does.
thing called Zoom.
I know, we'll do a Zoom. We'll do a Zoom. We'll
All
do
right.
a Zoom, exactly.
Anyway, well, that's it for this week's edition of the 3 Knockdown Rule, brought to you by Hustler Casino. Again, if you want to sponsor our fine show, email us info@boxbid.io. On behalf of Mario Lopez and Smokin' Tim Frazier, this is Steve Kim saying, till next week, goodbye, everybody.